I just came back from running and I had a thought while running, and I turned on the camera and said, wow, I look so cool with the headband and the oversized earphones that I just do the video like this. It's been a while since I made a philosophic video, something serious, something argumentative, and I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that I was still in that arena. The thought was something I've been dealing with for a while now, and what I want to do is, instead of saying that I know the answer to this question, I'm going to admit from the beginning that I don't, and encourage you all to leave your comments and video responses. I don't have a ton of subscribers, but I accept all video responses unless you're being a complete dick, which I have tossed a few of those, but you know, it doesn't cost anything to share, so hope to hear from you. Here's the dilemma. When we're talking about morality and we're talking about sexuality, we can understand morality in terms of consent between adults. And therein we can say, well, that is why we cannot say that it is moral to be a pedophile. Okay, this is where it's all wrapped around. This idea of pedophilia. Objectively determining that pedophilia is immoral. It would seem obvious to us, those of us who subscribe to a subjective sense of morality, it just seems, or that just feels weird, and therefore it's immoral. For people like me who aren't satisfied with that approach, have to wrestle with the nuts and bolts of it. Traditionally, pedophilia is understood as immoral simply because a sexual act, in their view, can only be moral between two individuals if they're both consenting adults. This would then allow, say, homosexual or polygamous intercourse, or group sex, orgies or whatever, anything, so long as they are consenting adults. Now, the problem, of course, and many of you have chimed in on this on other videos, is where do we define adult and for what point of purpose, and what quality does an adult have that a child doesn't? Because, at least on the surface, it seems like a rather, well, what's the word? Arbitrary age. Is it 18? Is it 21? Is it 16? Is it 24? Is it 22? Is it 21 and a half? You know what I'm saying? So, what essentially we have to do, those of us who try to understand this world philosophically and objectively, is to come to this understanding as to how do we define what an adult is, and how is it that we can objectively define what is immoral about what seems to be, empathetically anyway, immoral between an adult and a minor. And I'm totally good with that. All I'm saying is that I'm trying to work it from my side. The thought that I have, and I'll leave you with this, is that the consenting adult bit is the wrong perspective. Rather, what I think needs to be considered is simply a matter of biology. When a child, when an adult engages in a sexual act, they do it morally, say, even if it's not for love or emotion or anything, it would be in pursuit of satisfying some kind of a drive, similarly to how we, say, drink a glass of water to satisfy the drive of thirst, or eat a hamburger to satisfy the desire of hunger. Sex is very much the same way, at least in terms of what the brain can see. The difference, however, importantly, is that it requires another individual. If you're thirsty, you can go to the kitchen and not bother anyone and satisfy that. And unless there's masturbation involved, a sexual act requires the cooperation of someone else. And it's at this point where people say, it's the consenting adult thing. However, I would disagree. I would say that there is perhaps something in the recognition that children don't have that biology. They just don't have it. It's not there. And in this way, we can say that what would be moral between two individuals is whether or not they are able to satisfy that drive. In the situation where you have a biological drive that requires cooperation, in some cases anyway, between yourself and another human being, you can only do that morally if they're trying to satisfy the same thing. Otherwise, If they're not trying to satisfy it, but you take advantage of it anyway, that's rape, is it not? So in that situation, we can understand the child as a person who is never in need of sexual intercourse, because the biology is not there, physiology is not there, there's just nothing there. Not to say that children don't express precursors to sexuality. They certainly do. You see little kids with their hands down their pants all the time, and that's all good and fine. However, intercourse, that was a weird intonation. Intercourse is something else and distinct, is it not? Anyway, there's the ideas. I'd love to hear your guys' ideas on the subject, because it's something I always like to approach a question that seems so obviously clear, and then ask people, well, why? It's something that Socrates did as well. You know, everyone could say give an example of what a just act was, but no one could tell them what justice was. And so here I want to talk about pedophilia. Tell me, we all agree amongst ourselves that it's immoral, that it is wrong, but tell me why.